This is Ryan Glover, and this box looks very familiar. Many of us grew up on this brand of pancakes. Obviously, the name has changed from when I was younger, but the brand of pancake mix, is still the same. And a lot of us have enjoyed eating this over the years. I definitely have, since I was a little kid, enjoyed this pancake mix, making pancakes. And I felt that I would make these pancakes for my son. And it's an interesting twist in the story because yesterday when I opened these pancakes, I made them, and unbeknownst to me, there was actually glass in the pancake mix. And I've alerted the company about the issue. I feel that they didn't take it serious, that there was a little bit of level of doubt that they're that I would necessarily make up the story, but I have no reason to lie about it. There was glass. I actually bit into it. I had actually tried to feed these pancakes to my son, and it's very disturbing to me that that you could buy a product in the store and that you think you're going to enjoy to be able to eat, you're going to be able to enjoy to eat with your family, and it's something harmful. And it's made me really reflect on what we are feeding our children, what I'm feeding myself, because I actually bit into it. It was a very large piece of glass. And I think that corporations really don't care about people. They just care about their bottom line. After talking to the Pearl Milling Company, I feel that they just really care about the bottom line. They don't really care about families. And the fact that we rely on these brands to be safe for our family, be able to feed them. You want to feed your family a nutritious meal. You want your family definitely not to eat glass. And it was quite a bit of glass at the top. I ended up emptying out the rest of the box. There was no other glass, but there should be no glass in any pancake mix. I feel that the FDA and any other government agency should be looking into this, because this is a serious issue. I want to know if anybody else has experienced this. I know there's been issues before in the past with Krusty Mill's pancake mix, and the company denied it. I think Pearl Milling Company is, from the conversation I had, is trying to do the same, which is why I didn't want to send them the glass, because I felt that they would just deny and say that this wasn't true. But I don't really have any reason to make this up. I just really wasn't in the brand of doing videos about companies that, and just the deceit of large companies. I feel that immediately I was racially profiled because I am a black man by the consumer specialist named Dolores. Obviously in my email it shows a photo of me that displays me as being African American, and I think that she was mistrustful of the fact that I would make up a story about glass being in my pancake mix. I don't just sit around looking for scams to take advantage of people, but I want to warn people. I actually called the prayer line, and I spoke with someone from the Billy Graham prayer line about what I should do, because it was troubling whether I should make a video. But I feel it's a public service announcement that this pancake mix possibly could obtain glass. I have eaten this pancake mix a lot before making this video, and I never had any other issues until today. And especially for it to happen around Halloween, it was definitely something out of a horror movie. It was a very large piece of glass, which I didn't take a photo of, because when you're thinking about something like that happening, you're not immediately thinking about photo evidence. And I wasn't harmed, obviously. I did bite in it, but it didn't hurt my teeth or hurt my son. He didn't digest any of it, but it could have caused possible harm if we had actually digested the glass. And so I'm thankful to God for intervening in a situation for us not to actually digest the glass. And I just want to warn people and give them a public service announcement to be aware that when making pancakes from the Pearl Milling Company, that there possibly could be glass. I don't know how large of an issue. Maybe this is the only box that obtained glass. Why I was the person to receive that box is a mystery to me. And I just want to do my duty as a citizen. I feel that if you guys have received a pancake box with glass, I hope you guys would notify and let people know about it, so that they're not going into a situation where they're making pancake mix and there's possible pancake boxes out there that have been contaminated with glass. And I enjoy this pancake mix. I'm probably going to not eat it anymore. And just because of the response from the consumer specialist, I felt like, that they were very dismissive. I felt like, very mistrustful, and like, that I thought like, a little bit like xenophobic, like, about the fact like, they needed to verify my claims, and I clearly sent them photos of the glass. I'll show that in the video as well. Like, I think like, that it's very clear that this is glass, is not like, something that is pancake mix. And I'll put that in the video, like, so you guys can make the decision for yourself. But it was clearly glass in the photo. And let me know in the comments what you guys think. Like, do you feel like, I'm doing the right thing by speaking out and letting you guys know that I almost like, digested glass in my pancake mix? And how would you guys feel like, if you made pancakes for your child and like you discovered glass? And has anything like this ever happened to you guys before? I've looked online, and like I was saying earlier, like, Krusty's, they've had issues like that. I've never heard of Pearl Milling Company happening to this specific company. It may be an isolated issue. I feel like, the workers or the manufacturers and stuff, they need to do a better job of like, this isn't a third world country. If this is supposed to be America, one of the greatest countries in the world, when we go to the grocery store as Americans, we're not supposed to be eating glass in our pancake mix. I think, that's a really unfortunate situation, and the FDA needs to have like harsher penalties to make sure like things like this aren't happening, because like, it's a very unsafe issue. And I just can't imagine what would have happened if like, my children or myself had actually ate the glass. We would be in the hospital right now. And it was a very large piece of glass. I don't have the photo of the larger piece of glass, which I've actually bitten to, because I immediately threw it away, because I wasn't thinking like, that I was going to do a video. I wasn't thinking like, about contacting the company. Definitely not thinking about like filing a lawsuit or anything like that, because I wasn't injured. But the same, I feel like, it's a very important matter. And so like, I'm bringing this to the public. I hope you guys like, enjoy this video. Let me know in the comments, like, subscribe to my channel. And I would just like to close the video by saying like, a lot of people may feel like, that I'm dramatic, or like, doing this for the purpose of like, gaining like, views on social media, like, which isn't like, anything on my mind. Like, I'm saying, this is one of the most heartfelt videos, because I feel like this is something that really concerns like real issues, and no family should have to go through this. I think like, when you make your breakfast in the morning, and imagine like, you're making a breakfast for the morning. I really thought like, I was making a breakfast like for my son. He had already had a serving of pancakes. But like, sometimes like kids want seconds. And like, I usually want seconds, like, after I eat pancakes sometimes. And I made him like the pancakes, and like I gave them to him. I gave him basically poison. Like he was able to like, see like, there was something wrong with the pancakes. He has a speech delay, so like he wasn't able to like, necessarily tell me. And I was like, oh, you want more syrup? And I couldn't understand. And then like, I ended up eating the pancakes and like realizing that there was glass. And that's what he was trying to tell me. And I think like, that, it was very emotional for me, because like, it could have like, resulted in tragedy, because like, eating glass is not something that you want to do. It could cause a lot of great harm. And like, having pancake mix and finding like, glass when you make breakfast in the morning is something that is very, very horrific. And like, I think like, I'll stay away from this brand of pancake mix. Not to say that if I bought the pancake mix for in the future that the same issue would happen. I don't think it would. I think like, hopefully this is an isolated incident that isn't happening, to a whole lot of like, if you go to your store, like, that you're going to experience the same issue. But I do want people to be aware of when they make breakfast in the morning, so that their children, like, don't eat glass. I think like, that's something like, that we have a right, like, when we're going and paying our hard-earned money, like, at the grocery store, and we're buying food, like, that we just want to have a good breakfast or something like to enjoy. Like, it shouldn't have like harmful substances like glass. And like, I've read like, a lot of like online posts about how they have bugs. I would have much rather preferred a bug than glass. And like, it was a really big piece of glass. And like, I took photos, like, any amount of glass in your pancake mix, I feel like, that's something that could be preventable. And like, the manufacturer and these companies need to be held accountable. And I feel like, obviously, I will report this issue to the FDA, and I'll continue to talk like, to the Pearl Milling Company. But I think like, that the glass, like obviously because this was a newly opened box, because I just finished the box and I opened this box to prepare like, you know, another batch of pancakes for my son. And I finished the pancakes. I didn't notice it in the mix. I'd mixed up and I didn't realize that there was glass. There was actually glass, like, you know what I'm saying, made into the pancakes. And I bit into it when he didn't want to eat his pancakes. And like, you know, he could have done the same thing. He could have actually digested the glass. So like, I just want people to be aware of that. Like, I think like, you know, that it's really something like, you know, to pay attention to, because it wasn't something, it's the very thing I'd ever thought about, like, you know, the possibility that there could be glass in my pancake mix. And, you know, it's something that, like, you know, will probably give me nightmares, especially on Halloween, like, you know, something straight out of a horror movie, if I'm really being honest. Like, you know, I think, like, you know, if your family means as much as my family means to me, like, you know, it's like that's something you would never wish on anyone. I would never wish for glass to be in, like, you know, someone's pancake mix. It seems like a very cruel, and obviously, like, I don't know, like, you know, the manufacturing or the preparation involved in getting the pancake mix, and people make mistakes. And like, I don't have any, like, you know, disdain or ill will towards, like, you know, the people who manufacture the pancake mix, but I would ask, like, you know, those people to do a better job of making sure, like, you know, harmful substances like glass don't get into the pancake mix. And I think, like, you know, it's important for people to speak out, like, you know, when these issues like come about, because, like, you know, corporations don't have our back. And I think, like, you know, I understood that, like, you know, when I spoke to the consumer service representative, I felt like they were very dismissive and just weren't interested in really trying to do anything to make sure, like, you know, that this wasn't an issue, like, you know, as far as, like, you know, with their products, or maybe they were already aware, like, you know. So let me know in the comments if this has happened to you before, and I appreciate you for checking out the video.